I began today with this line from the American poet Emily Dickinson, that love is all there is all we know of love. We most often think of love as something we have for others, for special someones. Yet here on this path, we consider love lives or dies towards ourself. Tara Brach tells us that the most powerful healing arises from the simple intention to love the life within unconditionally, with as much tenderness and presence as possible. Connection is why we're here. Humans are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives, and without it, we fail to thrive. Yet, as we're learning here, it's connection with ourself, within ourself, that makes connection with others possible. And cultivating connection inside is what allows it to blossom and transform our human experience. We do that here together in this work with a special emphasis on releasing judgment of ourselves best we can, and not judging others as a result. This is what makes this a safe place. We're here to help each other find that dimension within ourselves that is deeper than thought, and to use the powers of our imagination to create reality, not to escape it. When we make even a momentary connection to our real self, to our soul, then that begins to change ourselves, and there's a ripple that goes out into the sea of humanity. We're here to help each other uncover the underlying wonder that hides underneath the 1001 practical details of life that often leaves us distracted, guarded, exhausted. So we gather together today to remember that what we're looking for is inside ourselves already. What we're seeking is seeking us. That we're not alone when we're connected with what is already waiting for us inside. We're here together today to connect with the medicine that is waiting for us already, deep down in our soul. So I invite you to let your eyes soften, and as we say, go inside. And going inside begins with the direction, yet we're entering a dimension already here, waiting. And as the eyes soften, the gaze goes inward. Let the breath do what it already knows. Let the breath be what it is. Life itself wanting you with each inhale, relieving you with every exhale. Every breath we draw is a gift. Let's allow the preciousness of this truth right here and now. When the mind relaxes its grip, the body leads the way. Take a moment and let the mind go, just like that. Let all the thoughts go, just like that. Like water pouring onto sand. Let's take a moment and pray together for an experience of who we actually are as spiritual beings in human form. A taste of this can be ours today, just by allowing our longing for it. That's enough. Give it your heart's consent, no matter how far away it seems, or how distracted your mind has convinced you that you are. The more you listen to your breath, the more you can hear the voice of your soul. Visualize the place inside deep down that nothing can touch, where safety and peace and calm flow, no matter what's going on around you. You have within you a refuge that nobody can ever touch. Nothing, nobody can take it away from you. You don't have to find it. Just allow your longing, and it will lead you. Just allow your longing for the next layer deeper to dissolve any thought of can't or undeserving. In the center of the storm, there is calm. In the center of confusion, there is peace. In the center of exhaustion, there is rest. And as we rest here together, let us remember this is always here. Anytime we wish. Anytime we allow. Taking your sweet time, taking all the time you wish. Leaving part of you here as your eyes, in their own way, when they're ready, come back to the screen and the faces in front of you. Real people like you, like me. So we'll do our go round, and as some of you know, just to say your name and where you are on the planet. And then a few words about what you're noticing right now. And for those of you that may be new, what we're really interested in is just what you're noticing going on inside of you, and to let go of any need to try to explain it to us or tell us a story about what happened to leave you feeling this way. Because what we learn here is that, all our life we've been trying to explain our feelings, and usually the explanations create distance rather than connection. And just to say what you're feeling, it goes right to our own version of that we can feel alongside with you, right? And whoever's ready can begin.
I can begin. I just wanted to let you know that my dad passed away June 18th. So I'm still going through the grief there and the shuffling around. And I found during this meditation that it's hard for me to quiet my mind.
Mm-hmm. It is the great challenge, Esther, for every human being. So I respect that. How we even turn to it and give it our best, independently of how effective it can feel at times. So welcome. It's only the hardest thing for any human being to do.
My name is Sheila, and I'm in Northern Virginia. And I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling hopeful. I've had a kind of a rough few months, and I'm feeling like I am kind of on the cusp of something great.
Wow. I'll have some of what she's having. Welcome, Sheila.
Hello, everybody. I'm Saida, and I'm in Denmark. And I feel very much grounded and confident right now, and also very much grateful for being here.
Welcome, Saida. I wasn't sure if you were going to say something else.
No.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Welcome. Glad to see you again.
Thank you.
I'm Frank in Richmond, Virginia. I'm glad to be here, and I'm hoping it rains today. My soul needs some rain.
Welcome, Frank.
I'm Dan. I'm also from Richmond, Virginia, and it's going to rain, Frank. I'm feeling calm and just a little tentative.
Welcome, Dan.
I'm Sean. I'm in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Feeling some relief from the usual maelstrom of life. I'm feeling some relief in that meditation from my mind. Letting it go, I felt almost like a warm embrace from my real self.
Wonderful to see you, Sean.
Wonderful to be here.
My name is Elisa. I'm living in the central part of Italy, and I resonate very much with the words after the exhaustion, in the exhaustion, after the exhaustion is rest. And I feel this rest is possible together with you. And I'm grateful to be here together with you today.
Glad to have you here, Elisa.
Thank you.
My name is Chris, and I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. And I'm feeling very calm and peaceful this morning. Thank you, Brian, for the meditation. I really could connect to myself. And I'm really glad to be here. I'm recovering nicely from my hip replacement surgery from 3 months ago. So thank you.
Welcome you and your new parts, Chris. The old parts and the new parts, equally welcome.
I'm Silvio. I'm speaking from South Florida, Boca Raton, and I'm in peace, and at the same time, thirsty for, I don't know, knowing myself. I think it has to do with the decision that I made a little while ago of making a significant change in my life. Retired from my corporate life and decided to dedicate this next chapter to this, to knowing myself, to learning more. So I feel thirsty.
Welcome, Silvio.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kai. I'm really grateful to be here with you today, and thank you for connection. I feel calm. I feel calm today, and as we were meditating, I think I was just shedding a little bit of our old stories of just a little bit of identity as well, tapping into just the free and empty space Brian pointing out just within us. I almost felt like it had no identity, no kind of limits, just empty and free and without any judgment and criticism for anything, for including myself. So it was great to tap into that.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, Skylar. Glad you're here. So Sandy and Dixie. It's not required that you speak yet. We're a friendly bunch here.
Hi. I'm having a little trouble negotiating with my phone.
Okay, Sandy.
Yeah, thanks. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and thank you for the meditation, and thank you for all the references to in the center of storms and related happenings, there's peace. And because I'm feeling a little distracted today and still kind of coming together, but glad to be here. Thank you.
Welcome just as you are, Sandy.
Thanks.
Dixie, did you want to say something? Just to bring yourself here?
If I could figure out how to do it, I would.
You're doing fine. How about tilting the phone a little bit more towards your face so we can see you? There you go. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to be here. Glad to hear everybody's comments. Glad to be alive.
Welcome. Welcome, Dixie. So I'm sensing everybody has spoken besides me. So my name is Brian. I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And the part of me that's a group member is glad to be here. This is a special day every month for me. And I do feel a little tightness in my chest because as I'm about to speak and bring forth what's calling me to say today, I feel my customary shyness around the inadequacy of my words, because what I bring is a joy beyond words, really. And I'm wanting to share that with you. And as many of you have heard me say before, one thing about the path work is it's the Swiss Army knife with 1,000 blades, right? The guide has given us so many tools to look at ourselves, to see what's keeping us stuck, to transform, to experience freedom, that we can often get lost in the work of our path. Yet, what the guide is also telling us that doesn't get recognized is that all the while there's always a direct path in any moment to freedom and liberation just by feeling our longing for it and letting go. And that knowing one day, whatever our pain is, will also become our cure. And in this letting go, we want to make room for, regardless of all the problems that we struggle with, life is not a problem to be solved. Life is a reality to be experienced. So the martial artist Bruce Lee said, "You never get more out of life than you expect." And Pathwork 101 is the ongoing looking at our underlying expectations that restrict our hopes and our longing. They're usually negative. Please mute yourself if you're not muted. There we go. Okay. Letting go means just stopping our racing personal narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about life, and just making peace with whatever's arising in our minds and our hearts, and to see it as it is, right? Because the mind is so busy doing, it's desperately trying to make things work. So here, what we're realizing is that pain, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, they're an inevitable part of the human experience. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us, right? Many of us have this idea that if we're feeling distressed, there's something we're not doing right. And here what we're learning to do is to turn to the distress with acceptance, with kindness, with understanding. Right? So many of us spend our whole lives running from our feelings with a mistaken belief that we can't bear the pain, right? That's in them. But we're already bearing the pain. What we have not yet done is to feel all that we are beyond the pain, right? The human being is the one that's feeling the pain. That's a small part of us, actually. The spiritual being in this temporary human experience is the vaster part of ourself that is not only beyond the pain, but is just waiting for the human to turn to it and be held, be received, be comforted. So we're considering today where, our busyness is really the underlying problem that keeps us from addressing all the places that are genuinely affected by our life experience, especially early in life, right? And that when we do that, the problems are still there, yet they become much smaller than they were before. Our greatest error really is where we think we're weak, bad, defective, unworthy. Each one of us is divine and strong in our real nature. What is weak are our habits, our cravings, and our thoughts, but not the real self. So some of us have heard this beautiful view that you change your thinking and the world changes. Well, that's really intriguing. Yet, how can I change my thinking? It seems so strong a force. Well, one way we've learned in this work is just to openly look at our patterns of behavior and uncover the subconscious thoughts that drive them. Just to see the illusions in them softens them. So remember that every thought that you and I have is based on our level of awareness in that moment. A lot of the thoughts that we have are repetitive. We've been having them for decades, right? Yet they often arose initially at a lower level of awareness than we are now in life. And as our awareness grows, we can become increasingly free of our lifelong thought patterns, a step at a time. And the way we grow our awareness is just by slowing down and stopping. Often, even just a few moments at a time, 1 moment at a time is enough. So one of my recent fascinations is how the body can help us much more than the mind will allow if the mind is left unattended. So one of the benefits of just learning to let the mind be still just a few moments at a time is that we realize we actually have resources that were buried under all the thinking. And the body is a big one, a big resource. And it's been fascinating for me to learn about the vagus nerve. I know some of you have heard about the vagus nerve. It's the largest nerve in our body, right? It's basically the nerve that connects everything. And what neuroscience is telling us is that it actually has an intelligence, right? It knows how to regulate, self-regulate, and bring calm when we're in distress, when we're anxious, when we're afraid. Right? Yet, as powerful as it is, it's actually a subtle force, and by itself can't take on, whatever our panic is. That's why it's so important just to learn to let the mind go a few moments at a time so we can feel this powerful resource. Now, there are two aspects to the vagus nerve they talk about. One is the dorsal. That's a word for back, right? And the other is ventral, which is the front of our chest. And so the dorsal experience, just shift your attention for a moment to your back. This is where your nervous system is acting to keep you safe by going under a turtle shell. Visualize this part of you like going like a turtle and just pulling your arms and legs and head inside the shell, right? This is the instinctive part of us that wants to keep us safe by taking us out of connection into some sort of collapse or shutdown, right? I invite you just to take a moment and feel yourself curling up into a ball and just being under your turtle shell. Whatever's going on, just that feeling of wanting to leave, wanting to be alone. Mm-hmm. And understand that anytime you or I feel distress, this is an automatic response. The brain is trying to figure out what it's doing. The feelings in the belly are churning around, feeling what they're feeling, all the emotions. Yet the nervous system is shutting down. Right? So what the vagus nerve is inviting us to do in these moments is to come to the ventral, the front of our body, the place that brings us into connection, communication, self-regulation, relating with others. And the shaping of this with the body is opening our mind, opening our hearts, letting the belly be soft, letting the arms spread wide. Just try that right now and see how different that feels. So take a moment and go back inside, let your eyes soften, and let the most recent moment of distress arise, just as it is, without making it bigger or smaller. And everybody's got their eyes closed. Don't be shy. Just feel yourself immediately going into the dorsal, curling over, covering your heart, covering your belly, curling into a ball. Just notice how familiar this is. Does it feel familiar? Gently letting that moment of distress go, with the eyes still closed, coming back to where you actually are now. In this container of fellow travelers, other imperfect human beings like yourself. Just slowly let the arms come up in whatever way it feels natural. Opening the chest, softening the heart, feeling the breath going down into the belly. Whether this feels familiar or not, notice if it feels good. Stay with it for a moment and just notice what you're noticing. And slowly coming back to the center. When you're ready, letting the eyes open. And just, if you notice something that you can share with us, it'd be very helpful. Let's take a few moments here and inspiral together. This is the power we have to shape our nervous system, right? Consciously shape it. And again, we don't have to figure anything out. We don't have to understand what our images are or what vicious circle we're in, right? This is a direct route to self-regulation. And this kind of self-regulation is what actually can create an opening just to let go for a few minutes, right? Rather than trying to do it directly. Like, where am I in my dorsal? Oh my God, yeah, here I am. I didn't realize it. And just breathing, opening up. There's a self-regulating. This is a power that is just built into the body. You'd think we'd be taught about it in first grade, right? All right, class, let's go into the turtle together. All right, open up. Realize how safe it is, right? No. It's never too late, though.
The grace of faith was what I read in the lecture this morning that caught my attention.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dixie.
Thank you so much, Brian, for talking a bit about the science of regulation.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I found is it really is the kind of the underpinning of the path work and learning to self-regulate. For me, I have two practices. One is just a breathing lengthening my out breath so it's longer than my in breath, and then hand on my face, hand on my heart, and just being with the sensation, the feeling of the warmth of my hands on my body. And that really, if I can stop my mind, or if that's pleasurable enough, or if it's present enough, then my mind will move from rumination to these practices, and it only takes a few minutes, and I'm usually shifted by then. Thank you for bringing it all up.
Thank you for making it real, Dan.
I guess what you're saying, Brian, is we're doing this at a time when there is no real danger.
Say that again, please, Sheila. I had a dropout in the audio.
You're saying that we're doing this at a time when there is no real danger? Because if there was real danger, this isn't very smart.
Right. So whenever there is danger, you go right to the dorsal first, because that's actually where you are, right? So in a way, we're comforting the feeling of fear, of danger, by bringing the body to give it that very primal sense of protection under the shell. Right.
Which is a smart thing to do if you're in danger.
That's right. Mm-hmm. But you see what we're doing, otherwise it's all in our head. And often what we're doing is feeling the panic, the fear, and then second guessing and criticizing ourselves for not being braver, right? So we're just, what the body is doing here is bringing a powerful embodied sense of understanding to the emotional part of us, right?
I'm thinking about what an armadillo does when they're in danger. They can curl up into just a tight ball such that nothing can get at them.
That's right. You see, what I may not be saying clearly enough is that usually in these moments of intensity, panic, fear, anxiety, the mind gets overloaded. And the perverse quality of the mind is when it's overloaded, it starts attacking itself. Starts blaming itself, right? And what we're doing here is bringing this major resource of the body and all its wisdom. You know, the body where the heart is beating day and night, knowing what to do, the breath is breathing, all the organs are functioning. You know, there's a vast intelligence in us that the mind disconnects us from, because the mind is convinced it's running the show. And as that old saying goes, the mind is a wonderful assistant. It's a terrible master. So, you know, the next time you have one of these moments, to go right into the dorsal, really let yourself feel it. Stay there as long as you can. Because at some point, the body will naturally say, I'm here with you. Say to the mind, say to the emotions, basically, you're not alone, we got this. Who else wants to say something or doesn't want to say something?
I noticed how familiar the dorsal felt, and how unfamiliar the ventral felt, almost physically painful in some ways to try to open the arms and the chest.
Thank you, Sean. You know, very often when we're having these intense moments of distress, we are in fact by ourselves, and we're free to shape our nervous system this way, right? It may seem a little odd at first. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead, Brian. It's okay.
Go ahead, Scholar.
Oh, just gonna say it is a great analogy, I think. We're so used to be in this, you know, part of autonomic nervous system, sympathetic, running the show, still thinking we're chasing away from the tiger. And I think, yeah, just kind of covering ourselves up like a defense mechanism, thinking of protecting ourselves from it. But then instead of when we're tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system, like rest and digest this system, it is very much more, I think, comforting and more opening. And like you said, Brian, it's almost like looking at this panic from the side of this, you know, rest and digest system is very interesting perspective. You'll have nothing else to do but just relax into it, and all your body will respond that way.
Yeah. Thank you, Scholar. When we go from the dorsal to the ventral, so many things are changing. Our breathing changes, the flow of lymph changes, blood circulation changes, pulse changes, electrons are firing throughout our nervous system. And what I've discovered for myself, that when I'm in the dorsal, I don't have to wait to feel better before moving into the ventral, right? So what I've discovered is I just stay in the dorsal as long as I can. And at some point, I just get tired of it. And then very naturally, the body opens up. Then I start to feel some relief, some opening, some spaciousness, right? I didn't do that with my thinking. And it's automatic. You see animals do this. I've been watching a lot of nature videos from Africa, and you know, the antelope that's just been almost caught by a lion and chased, right? It gets away. Afterwards, it's just lying on the ground like this, right? And we all have our own version of that experience in life. You know, that's what makes it so fascinating for me to be looking at the animals on both sides, the one who's being chased, and I also have the one who's chasing. I want that, I got to have that, right?
I flashed on the moment that I called my sister after my dad collapsed, because I was just total grief. And but I think I was in grief too in childhood, and then wanted to crawl into the shell, or I just did that. And run away, hide. And then when I was back this way, I'm just more in touch with my inner nauseous, nauseousness, and then just working it through breathing. Right. And
yeah.
This and this, was it?
Thank you, Esther. So where this ties into the pathwork for me is this, that, you know, we hear so often, so many times, that when we're in an emotional reaction because of an interaction with someone, it's not really because of them. Right. Boy, did I struggle with that one for a long time. Of course it's because of them. They're a jerk. Here's why. I've got all my evidence, right? So where this polyvagal theory, the vagus nerve, goes right in support of that, is really what the guide is telling us is, yeah, that other person's a jerk. Yet what's happening is you're not able to regulate yourself because this person has triggered an emotional pattern in you from life that has never really been resourced or soothed so that it can release itself, right? And of course, we do a lot of work in our sessions and in our daily review, trying to really identify the patterns and the reactions and so forth and so on. And that is essential. It's necessary. Yet it benefits highly from what we're considering here, really bringing this amazing body, right? That is much more than just what we're looking at, my arms, my legs, my face, my hair, my teeth, whatever, right? Like,
Thank you, Brian. This is a real gift for me, this gathering today about this issue. And my body is, I do have this issue of chronic pain and distress. And so it was a sort of a rehearsal.
Yeah.
And this polyvagal theory about from Porges and all of this. But as you said, sometimes it's so overwhelming that you are, for me, it is not easy to self-regulate. So, but what I see now, that life is really asking me to do this. And I notice more and more that, yes, the mind is overloaded in these moments. And so in the last few days, actually, I tried to slow down. First of all, to slow down. Okay, slow down the rhythm of everything, and so I really feel this. Life is asking this now. You need to do this. So be present. Be there. Use your body to my body is a problem. At the same time, as you said, it is my cure. So life is saying to me, do this now. and not only maybe once a day, but every time I feel at the borderline, let's say, not way too long, not way too long, but do it regularly. And so thank you for that, and thank you to all of you. And it's very helpful for me what you are saying, and what we are sharing here is really gold for me, because it's something I need to exercise and need. I invite myself to do more regularly.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, I want to, Ryan, I want to thank you. I also want to thank you for bringing science to this and integrating this with path work. This is one of my favorite topics, and it's very meaningful to me. I think it's extremely soothing and comforting to think that by giving conscious attention to our state of being, our sort of felt sense, our sensation, we can change our story. So yeah, there's a lot out there about that. But thank you for bringing this.
You're welcome, Chris. Thank you.
It's very validating to have you bring this to this arena.
It means a lot because I know your expertise in this field. The other thing I've noticed is I've been doing this, and I'm like a kid with a new toy with this, right? The more you do it, the easier it is. I'm at the stage in life, like some of you, where there's a fair list of aches and pains, right? And along with these aches and pains, there's a fear that comes up. Oh, is it that? Oh, is it this? What does this mean? I need to go check this out. I need to get it fixed, right? And while it's good to pay attention to see what may need medical help or some other form of therapy, physical therapy, what I've discovered is when I have one of those physical distresses, like, my belly starts to hurt and I'm wondering, oh my God, what is this, right? Or I have a crick in my shoulder and I'm wondering, oh no, not that, right? Rather than focus on that specific symptom, just to do a couple sets of this, staying as long as I can in the dorsal and then coming up to the ventral, that, it's less the physical distress that I was feeling. It's not that it's gone, but it's smaller and I'm not so concerned about it. That actually neuroscience is asking us to consider these days that, a lot of what we see as discrete sources of disease in the body are just symptoms of dysregulation, right? Where the body is not able to regulate itself or to heal itself because we're too lost in our heads. So we've left the body behind. We're not being in the body enough, moving enough, not giving it the nourishment that it needs, right? Anybody have any leaning in or question or disbelief? Of course, all of that is welcome here, right?
This neuroscience, I'm neuroscience ignorant. So maybe you could send some links after the meeting to some reading material.
Sure, I'd be happy to put some out.
And it occurs to me that maybe each person might have their own dorsal position and ventral position, and you maybe need to find your own position.
Yeah. I really support you in finding yours, Frank. You're, you know, each have a one-of-a-kind body, right?
Yeah.
It strikes me that it's very similar to an exercise that's done in core energetics, where you go back and forth between doing the bow and then hanging over and letting your fingers kind of drag on the floor.
Yeah. What Sheila's bringing up is of great value, because Sheila and I go back to the 90s, right, at Seven Oaks. And, you know, pre-COVID, this kind of working with the body, core energetics, was just anytime you did path work in a group, you would do that. Right? Yet now, with the post-COVID era and so much of it via Zoom, that resource is not being used as much. It's just yet, you know, we're trying to bring some of that in here, right? And you know, some of you know the core energetics, which Sheila's describing from John Paracas. John Paracas was married to Eva, who was the pathwork guide, right? And Eva says that there's no difference between the pathwork and core energetics. They're inseparable. And as part of that deeper reality that we're wanting to bring in today of how inseparable our thoughts and emotions are from our physicality, right? They're all one together. And the beauty of this dorsal and ventral is how easy it is to do. And you know, I'll be leaning over to tie a shoe to go for a walk, and suddenly I'll just go into the dorsal, because that, yeah, I'm feeling some of that. You know, I'll be in the shower, opening up, you know, and feeling that water, and now I'm not just in the shower. I'm having my ventral experience, right? This is the possibility I'm wanting to offer here of really healing in a delicious way, in an easeful way, this split between the mind-body experience, right? Anyone else before I move on to something else that I wanted to bring in here? Please, if you have something to say, feel free.
I just wanted to relate an old core energetics experience.
Sure.
Years and years ago. I think probably my first, maybe one of my first, but we were all together, as is the case.
Is this 91 or 92, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something about, you know, being in a group of people close. But it was very free form. And I found myself, you know, back then I was full of anxiety and uncertainty, and just to give you a context. And I found myself, because it's a guided kind of thing, but you're actively moving. And I found myself kind of, you know, being in like a very collapsed dorsal state, standing there with my hands straight up and just kind of undulating. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm a grass reed in a warm riverbed. And I just allowed myself to, you know, just feel this in my body. And typically, because this happened several times after I kind of learned this, I would have these incredibly relieving tears. And it was just such a relief. And it's so what's interesting is I had no idea what was going on at the time. But now, you know, with this new science, I understand that what had happened was having tuned into my body and just, you know, go with what feels right. I was able to make this shift from, you know, my typical anxious, uptight, closed, collapsed place to one of release. And I just, that memory always comes up when anybody says core energetics. So I'm just sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
A beautiful way our bodies just know what to do. Our minds don't really need to get involved too much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I think just want to add a quick word in terms of, again,
Please.
Okay, I think what you're talking about, Brian, is the modern day version of core energetics. I think I'm wanting to just really emphasize the compatibility and the importance of bringing it together. Somatic experiencing is another term for the field, but I think, you know, John Parakis was, you know, he was one of the early pioneers, and we have the generational story keeps going with this somatic psychotherapy, if you will. And I think this is sort of the modern version, and you're bringing them together. And I know because of my own personal journey, it's so important. But I just wanted to, I guess, reinforce that it really is. It's like the modern version of core energetics, kind of.
Thank you, Chris.
Loosely put.
I just want to make one other point that seems real for me is as I learned to find, you know, to experience this ventral state, I recognize that I cannot, I don't seem capable of, you know, the second phase, spiritual opening, you know, until I'm somewhat in ventral.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I think the body is too involved in healing itself in the dorsal or the sympathetic, that it's in the ventral state where we can truly experience, well, God.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like this, yes.
This has really been juicy and delicious. And I have one more piece I'd like to offer here today. And it's this. We most often consider our wounding as something we have to overcome, something we have to get through, leave behind. We understandably feel burdened by it. Yet, in fact, it is a sacred gift. A blessing, actually. It's how the light gets in. So what do I mean by our wounding? Primarily, it's whatever leaves you feeling unworthy, less than, imperfect, ashamed. So while we often work this from the place of cause and effect, how did this come about, so forth and so on, remember this. Everybody is wounded because everybody is here on an incarnatory journey as a spiritual being in human form to transform consciousness. And it's only through the wound that consciousness gets transformed. So if our question is, well, how does that happen? Through the wound. The gift of our wounding is to awaken a deeper love within us, within ourselves, towards ourselves, than we ever imagined possible. Our wounding didn't just come about accidentally. What the guide tells us is there's actually a lot of effort on the highest level to create the incarnatory journey that we're living through for each one of us. Exquisite intelligence at work. So here is this exquisite, beautiful mystery that the very part of ourselves, our wounding, where we struggle with ourself the most, where we judge ourselves the most intensely, where we feel the most unworthy and defective. Only that can awaken this deeper love within us, within ourselves, towards ourselves. And from that place, now, love just flows through us, all around us, to everything around us. Right? So I'm going to invite you to go back inside now for a moment and let the eyes soften. Just let some version of your own wounding come up into the foreground. Remember where you are in a container with strong support. People who know they have their own version of this. We're here to help and support each other. And just notice all the feelings that arise in a negative way towards yourself here around your wounding. Notice any feeling of, oh my God, not this. Anything but this. Now feel the earth under your feet. Feel the sky overhead. Feel these two holding you. The earth is rock solid, holding you. The earth says, I got you. Feel the light coming down from the sky, shining into any place that's ever been dark. Warming every place that's ever been cold. Hear the sky say, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Allow yourself a moment of seeing your wounding as sacred, as having dignity. No matter what anybody has told you, no matter what you've told yourself, no matter what you're still telling yourself, feel the earth stretching in every direction, holding this wounding. Feel the sky shining down in every possible way towards this wounding. Take a moment and consider being willing to pick up this wounding in a new way. With genuine humility. Without the pride of self-attack. Allow a voice within you towards the wounding, saying, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. We're getting ready to land. And this is the place for any closing statements, anything you want to say, just a few words.
That was really great. I feel like more of a joy from the sky above. And my nauseousness is gone. I'm feeling more clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther.
I imagined those wounds are like cracks through which the light comes in. That felt really good. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Skylar.
I saw the different situations, different wounds, and saw myself embracing them.
It's astonishing to see the split between us and the very parts of ourself that need us, right? It's humbling and life-changing, really.
Yeah, I've kind of automatically, when we do this, I'm here with you. I'm hearing this little refrain right after that in my mind where it's, I'm here with you and we belong.
Mm-hmm. And we belong. Mm-hmm. And we're at that beautiful moment where we take ourselves off mute. Let your hands come up and say as many times as you wish, I'm here with you. Looking at the faces here, brothers and sisters. I'm here with you.
With you.
I'm here with you.
I'm here with you.
Here with you.
I'm here with you.
Here with you.
I'm here with you.
With you.
You're beautiful and I love you.
You're beautiful and I love you.
You're
You're
beautiful.
beautiful and I love you.
Belong.
Mm-hmm.